Hi, Rashika. Maybe you can introduce yourself and then we can jump into your presentation.
Thank you so much, Riddhi. Good evening, everybody. It's so nice to connect with all of you. And I would just skip the intro part because my presentation will subsume what I do, what I'm currently doing, what's my educational background. So I'll just quickly jump to the presentation. But before beginning with the presentation, I just wanted to also mention to the audience that please feel free to interrupt me, stop me at any point of time. I don't want this to be a monologue. I want this to be an interactive session. Wherever you think there is a question or wherever you think you want to understand something, feel free to just interrupt, raise your hand, and maybe then Riddhi can direct the question to me. So would not be a problem. I have a very quick presentation on myself, on the background that I have on sociology and on public policy. So this presentation will help you understand what my journey has been like, and then I can of course take your questions and try to answer your queries. So Vriddhi, I'm just changing my slide. Just let me know if you can see it and if
Yeah,
it's moving
yeah.
to the next one.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I have completed my schooling from St. Thomas's. This happens to be a convent school, and I did my schooling right from KG to class 12th, and I graduated with a degree in humanities. I took that as my discipline when I was in school, and I had key subjects like English, maths, economics, sociology, psychology, and I happened to receive the award of excellence for securing above 95%, which doesn't really matter. But then I also topped out in the quartile of the badge. Why I'm telling you the schooling background, because then this will tell you the initiation into me picking up sociology and how I started with the discipline. So the initiation into the discipline was back in school, when I thought that I would want to get some expertise within humanities, and I would want to equip myself into this discipline and into this stream of thought in general. Going forward, after school, I then went to get a bachelor's degree in sociology from Hindu. I did my college from 2015 to 18, so I graduated in 2018, and also I picked up sociology back then as my stream of thought, as my discipline. This is something that I developed my interest very early on in school. I was not like a very good student from class KG to 10th. When I picked up sociology and when I picked up humanities, I think that was when I realized, okay, this is something that I want to get an expertise into. This is something which is comfortable. This is something which I understand, and this is something which I want to pick up further as my not only as my academic background but also my professional background. Then coming to college, I also sort of did every activity which was under the sun beyond sociology, which also helped me understand things beyond the classroom. And with that background, I passed out as the batch topper from Hindu College. I was amongst the top 1% in the university. And as I mentioned, beyond sociology, I participated in every activity so that I could understand things which were happening, not just be a nerd sort of a person. So I held multiple positions both at the department as well as the college level, and I also then with my discipline, with my expertise in sociology, I received a couple of pre-placement offers from certain big fours, from consulting companies. But then, given the interest that I had in sociology, I decided to not go ahead with those, and I decided to do a master's in sociology, which brings me and my journey into the transition into a master's degree. So I'll tell you how the journey shifted from bachelor's to master's, and what exactly happens, and what the line of thought looks like. So post graduating from Hindu, when I picked up my bachelor's, I decided to go for a specialization in sociology. And for a specialization, what exactly happens, especially at the University of Delhi level, is that you have to give certain exams, certain entrance exams. And I gave two entrance exams to get an expertise in sociology at the master's level. One was Jawaharlal Nehru University. This was also back in 2018. And I happened to get All India rank 1 for JNU for my master's in sociology. And I also gave my entrance exam for Delhi School of Economics, University of Delhi. There I got an All India rank of 22. And the background being that given I had a bachelor's in sociology, I had sort of an edge to sit for masters. But in addition to that, I also tried to develop an expertise into what was happening nationally and internationally, trying to work on my writing skills, which is a very important part in public policy. In case you want to get into the into public policy, one of the things that you have to be very well equipped with is what is happening around the world, what is happening around you, and also trying to get into the habit of not only just reading but also writing. So I was working on both of these things. These were the sort of the fulcrums that I had all throughout bachelor's and masters. And with the entrance exams getting cleared, I decided to opt for Delhi School of Economics over JNU, and that was my initiation into masters, and that is how I transitioned from a BA to an MA. Going forward, as I mentioned, I completed my master's in sociology. I just like masters, I decided to participate in every academic and extracurricular activity. Why I'm focusing on this point is that people think that you just have to focus on academic activities to get into, say, public policy, or to get into any sort of a discipline. This is not how life works. You have to have a you have to strike an equilibrium and a balance between what you're doing academically and what you're doing non-academically or extracurricularly. This will help you also in the long term. It's not only a short term activity that you have to do, but just going forward, what you pick up on. I graduated with a distinction in my masters, and I was awarded the award of excellence for academic excellence, for like academic expertise through masters. And here also I sort of decided to hold several PORs, just to understand what is happening beyond the four walls of my classroom. And I graduated during COVID-19 with the masters. Now, coming to the journey from college to office and how I ultimately shifted from public policy professionally. While I was picking up things at an academic level when I was reading for sociology at the bachelor's and the master's level, but how the ultimate shift into public policy came was when I decided to join Invest India. I Now, how Invest India started is, I was applying for several internships. As I mentioned, I graduated when COVID was happening, so I decided to apply for several internships back then. I got selected as an intern with Invest India. Invest India is the national investment promotion and facilitation agency of the government of India, and given the fact that I wanted to get into public policy, that was one of the things that I thought would be a good starting point to get into the government sort of a role, try to understand what is happening and how I can contribute my voice and my bit to what is happening within India, and how I can contribute in terms of, say, public policy to the India growth story. Uh, in back at the internship level, I was doing everything under the sun: presentations, spreadsheets, etc., etc. And with public policy as the ultimate goal, I was doing research, I was doing policy briefs, I was doing preparatory notes, I was writing schemes for the prime minister, for several ministers, and for secretaries. I also picked up my discipline of my expertise into public policy as healthcare and medical devices. Now, healthcare remains a very important thing when it comes to public policy. So I picked up on that sector, and I decided to work upon public policy within these two sectors. With that, I was also working with investors in the healthcare and medical devices sectors. And after my internship, I got a PPO as an associate, and I received, and with that promotion, with that PPO offer, then I decided to go for it. I decided to get into public policy full throttle and pick this up professionally. And then now I'm working as an investment specialist. I work very closely with the central and state governments. I actually spearhead investments into the healthcare and the medical devices sectors under under the larger umbrella of public policy. I'm right now working as an advisor, guide, and a facilitator for every investor which is wanting to set up operations within India in healthcare and medical devices. I'm right now focusing. I'm right now a first point of sorts for all of those companies which are looking to set up their manufacturing in India. and I look after inbound investments within these two sectors, as I mentioned. And I also work very closely with the Himachal Pradesh government to facilitate investments within the state. In addition to that, in terms of public policy, I'm an author of two national policies right now. I've written the national policy for medical devices, which was very recently released by the Honorable Prime Minister, and I've also drafted the national R&D policy for pharmaceuticals and medical devices, which is currently in the draft stage but was announced by the Honorable Prime Minister. I've also facilitated and worked with some of the largest companies to for the Prime Minister's vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat, so that my contribution to public policy is beyond what I read, but also something that I'm tangibly doing with the sort of the background that I got from sociology. And I also supported the Indian government while we were under the COVID crisis. So this is something which I wanted to tell you in general, but there are certain key learnings and takeaways that I have from a sociological background and also from public policy. This is something which I have picked up right from school to college to right now working professionally. First is, I don't know what the audience looks like, but this is something which holds true. Please do focus on on your studies. They do matter. Marks don't matter, but what you learn academically would be of extreme and seminal importance when you are trying to get into the workforce. In addition to that, while you're studying, do also like aim to find your balance and strike your balance in terms of studies and fun, in terms of curricular and extracurricular. And this will in addition make you very responsible and mature when you're also joining the professional workforce. If you are trying to get into public policy, you don't stand a chance if you're scared. You have to voice whatever you're thinking, whatever you're feeling. So don't be afraid. Don't think that you're too small, or that you don't matter, especially when it comes to a discipline like public policy. You have to be very vocal, even if your thoughts are if you think that your thoughts are they don't matter. That is not the case. Voice it out, speak it out, write it out, do something. But just at the end of the day, if you want to make a career in public policy, you have to be very vocal. But with vocalism, also be humble. No matter how successful you are in public policy, when you're writing policies, you can't work with what you're thinking. You have to think about the other person. You have to think about the the last person that you want to write the policy for, or for some whatever you're writing for. Just think from that perspective. Try to be very objective, and be respectful to others and their battles while you are getting into the stream of public policy. And in addition, be faithful, have some faith in yourself. You are your biggest cheerleader. These are thoughts which are in general, but for in a public policy perspective also, there are going to be instances where you'll think that things are not coming to fruition. But that is how public policy is like. You have to keep running towards it. There are going to be times when you'll be bored, you'll be scared, you'll be under the assumption that this is not working, but be at it. Public policy is difficult, it's long drawn, but it's very 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 humbling, and it's a very good experience. So Vriddhi, this is what I have in my presentation. But I'd be happy to pick up whatever questions you have for me, and whatever the audience wants to throw at me. Feel free to ask me anything. No restriction whatsoever.
Right. So I think your presentation was like very well covered to the point, and we have a very great key takeaways, and it answers most of the questions that I had for you. So, Swapnil, you can enable public chat. Meanwhile, I'll take a few questions with Rashika. And audience, you can put in your questions. So one question that I had for you was, networking is very crucial for career growth, right, in every aspect. So when it comes to sociology or public policy, how do you think people can expand their network?
Okay. In terms of, say, expanding your network, there are multiple forums right now, Vriddhi, which we have at our dispense. I think Swapnil and I, we got connected through LinkedIn, so that is how you can see how networks get connected. So, in terms of networking, try to, as I mentioned in my presentation, don't be scared to talk. Talk to your peers, talk to your teachers. Try to understand. career paths, try to understand where you can go next, try to understand what event you can attend. Events play a very important role when it comes to networking. Try to attend as many career fairs, as many events which are happening, say for any of the topics that you're interested in. Try to also enhance your social media footprint. I'm not on social media per se, but platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, they are very, very helpful in case you want to get connected with people who are in the same line of thought, in the same discipline, in the same area of expertise where you want to work with. So I think that would be of very crucial importance. Try to write to people, try to ask if you can work with them, try to share your resumes in terms of asking if you can work with them. So I think these are very helpful tactics that you can have. Also, networking is a very long drawn exercise. You'll be thinking that okay, people are not getting back to me. You'll be tired. You'll be like, okay, am I doing something wrong? Is my resume not too nice? But these are questions that everybody battles with. But of course, you have to be at it. And try to also, when you're networking, from a LinkedIn perspective or from a written medium perspective, try to have the most updated resume. Try to also have a very brief description for yourself. Whenever I'm speaking to interns, or whenever I'm getting somebody on board, I also have this mandate of not only getting their resume, but also very short description on themselves. People don't have the time to like go through your resume entirely, so do like have a quick snapshot on yourself, a very quick 2 minute sort of a elevator pitch in a written format, where you explain what's your academic background, what are your expectations, how you can contribute to them. So this would be a very important way for you to also start networking through the written medium. But coming to networking in general, try to be at it. Just keep writing to people, keep speaking to them, try to understand how you can contribute.
Right, right. So we do have some audience questions. So
Mhm.
Athor wants to ask, how can I find internships and volunteering opportunities in public policy and sociology, and will they help me build a strong foundation?
Okay, so thanks for the question. In case you want to get into if you in case you want to find internships, one of the first ways would be to have a LinkedIn presence. LinkedIn is a very important platform right now in the world that we're living in. There are very, very good openings which are very regularly uploaded in terms of sociology, in terms of public policy, in terms of government advisory. So do have a very academic LinkedIn presence. In addition to that, there are also platforms like Indeed, I believe. There's Indeed, then there's Naukri.com. These also have a couple of job openings, couple of internship openings. So this would be another way. In addition to that, while you're building your LinkedIn presence, don't just apply for jobs, don't just apply for internships, but also reach out to the people who are working at these organizations. I've got some of my best interns who've written to me, so I think it would be a very, very good opportunity for you to also find people who are within the same organization. Do send your resume, do also send a brief description on yourself, and do write the expectations that you have. And these internships do play a very important role. They will help you build a strong foundation. To answer the latter half of your question, I joined my current organization as an intern, and I've grown in my organization as an intern only. So start speaking in front of you, I think you can have a good idea of what internships can contribute towards. So all the best to you, but do start working towards it. I also reached out to somebody on LinkedIn to get an internship, and right now I'm working as a full-time employee in the same organization. So yes, internships do play a very important role, but you do have to do the hard work that goes behind it.
I think there that is where the professional networking part also comes in.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So moving on, Bhaktosh wants to ask, public policy and sociology careers can span various sectors from government to non-profit. How can I identify my niche and right sector for me?
Okay, good, very good question. Very interesting. Also, to find your niche, I think try to understand what your interest area is. Try to also understand the specialization that you've developed in your bachelor's or in your master's level. Uh, coming from a sociology background in my bachelor's and master's, I did get a specialization in healthcare and in public health. Hence I picked up healthcare and medical devices as my area of expertise for public policy. So I think your academic background will play a very, very crucial role and a very seminal role while you picking up your niche area for public policy. But in addition to that, in addition to your curricular in addition to your academic background, I think your interest area would also be of extreme importance. What area you want to pick up, what area you want to develop your professional expertise in, I think that is also a good starting point for you to get your expertise into public policy.
Right. Right. So Chetna and Pankaj have asked the same question. I think Pankaj, you have copied Chetna's question. You, if you have same doubts, Rashika can address both of you. So that is, I understand that a career in public policy requires good research skills, but that's my weak area. So how can I develop my research skills?
Okay. Yes, research does play a very important role. As I was mentioning in the slides earlier, you do have to start reading on national and international events. You also have to work on your writing skills. And in terms of research, public policy has immense amount of research that you have to do day in and day out for any niche area that you're picking up. I think start reading, start picking up the newspaper every morning to try to get a sense of what is happening around you. Start writing whatever you're reading. Try to just very succinctly summarize whatever you've read. Also try to go for to read journals, to read also databases like EMIS, like Orbis, like The Economist. So I think these are certain platforms that you can start leveraging. These are platforms that have a lot of things which are happening in nationally and internationally. These will help you to build sort of an expertise into some of the areas which are happening right now, or which are like happening around you at the moment. Also in terms of research, try to also see what is happening across the world. Pick up platforms like Harvard Business Review. Try to also pick up, I think there are multiple platforms. I can share that information with the organizing committee. But in addition to that, I think in terms of research, writing and reading would be very important. This is something that I have picked up from the bachelor's and the master's that I've done in sociology. So that is where your research skills would be extremely enhanced.
So apart from research skills, what other skills do you need if you want to pursue this career?
In term Also, Vriddhi, as I mentioned, writing would be very important. Public policy has a lot of emphasis on writing, and writing not only with fancy words, but writing very humbly.
Right.
In terms of writing humbly, I mean, you don't have to have like an edge in English, or you don't have to have an edge in a jargon. You have to very succinctly summarize whatever you want to say. This is something that I learned in my current organization when I was working with CXOs, when I was working with secretaries, with ministers. When you're writing public policy, or when you're reading for public policy, you have to do it in a way where the person who's not equipped with those skills understands. So you have to summarize your thoughts in a way so that everybody can understand, irrespective of their educational background, irrespective of their academic background. So I think that is a very important skill that you have to pick up.
So I hope Pankaj and Cheetna, both of your questions has been answered. So to wrap it up, I just have one last question for you. So in the current socio-political climate, what do you think is the future of public policy and sociology?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. But public policy, to actually summarize your answer in one, public policy is here to stay. Whatever the socio-political, geographic, economics status is like, every situation is going to require a public policy. We just came out of COVID. You can understand the amount of public policies, the amount of um, the amount of effort every government across the world was putting towards getting their countries out of the crisis. So whatever the situation is, public policy is going to remain, is going to sustain. Everybody has a very good chance to build their professional background around it. But then public policy is also an area where you have to be extremely patient, where you have to put in extra amount of hard work when it comes to research, when it comes to writing, when it comes to working with stakeholders. You have to work with an immense volume of people, you have to work with an immense volume of data. So you have to be extremely patient when it comes to it. And you also have to work in a way where you are taking everybody's perspective into the picture. Objectivity will play a very important role in public policy going forward. I think we live in a world where our thoughts are very colored in terms of wherever we're coming from. But if you want to build an expertise into public policy, you have to be objective to what is happening, to what you're feeling, and you have to draft your policies according to it. And to build your expertise into public policy, just to initiate yourself into it, start reading, start writing, start finding your niche area, is going to take a good amount of time. But that is how public policy is like. It's also extremely evolutionary and dynamic in nature. So what is important right now would not be important, say, the next day. But the larger mandate of public policy is, of course, here, and it's going to stay.
Right. So I think with this we can wrap up our session. And thank you, Rashika, for joining in, and it was a very insightful session. So anybody, if you have any other doubt, you can just ask, or else we can just wrap it up.
I do have 5 minutes, so in case anybody has any question, whatever you want to say, please feel free.
And if anyone has any thoughts about the session, they can also share that. And also, if you have any further doubts, you can connect to Rashika on LinkedIn about the field and about the career in the same.
Yes, so I do have this slide. You can write to me at this email ID. This is also my LinkedIn. I'm very, very available. I do see my message inbox. Please feel free to reach out to me at any point of time. Any question, whatever you have, just let me know.
Right.
And this and just reaching out to me would be your first initiation into networking. So do leverage that. Do write, send your resumes, send your descriptions to me. I'd be happy to also speak to you.
I see few people are typing.
Okay.
Okay. So they are all very happy with the session, and like really it was a wonderful session. And I personally don't know much about this field, about public policy, not being from a humanities background.
Thank you.
I do know a lot now,
Mhm.
and obviously it was very insightful. And thank you, Ashika, for this session, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Riddhi. Thank you for having me. It was lovely chatting with you, and thank you to the audience. It was lovely speaking to you, and please feel free to reach out to me at any point of time. And thanks to Swapnil also. It was great to join the session. Thanks a bunch, guys. Bye bye.
Bye.